All right, everyone. Hillary Clinton has actually had a problem whereby she has become so unpopular, so toxic, really, that even a lot of people who otherwise they would generally agree with her or they would like her, certainly they wouldn't like Trump. They'd be like on her side if she were debating him. They don't even want to talk to her, and they've actually begun to criticize her a little. We didn't see that during the election itself. We didn't see that for the first few months, but then Hillary Clinton started blaming everyone under the sun for her loss and just being totally incoherent. And then, for a while there, she wandered off into the woods, and then she crawls out after eating nothing but tubers. That was the joke on the DPRK news handle at the time. Oh, she's emerged finally after subsisting on tubers and small animals, coming back to haunt us, basically. She comes out, blames people some more. And the media finally gets tired of it. So they actually went after her recently with the Me Too thing. They said, well, her response ultimately was totally fumbled. It makes no sense because Hillary Clinton, number one, has never really actually been an advocate for women's rights. You look at her husband, the fact that she was willing to tar and feather anyone who came forward to say, hey, your husband touched me inappropriately. Oh, well, this person's just basically a harlot is how she acted. Doing the stand by her man thing, which is commendable in the realm of a relationship that's kind of like Bonnie and Clyde, I guess. Generally, though, from the outside looking in, it looks slimy. It looks especially odd when you then run a presidential campaign. You're like, oh, I'm the female candidate, so this matters. We can have a female in the highest office. Well, the glass ceiling will be gone forever. And, as we saw, though, the left wouldn't let it go at that anyway. Obama happens to be black while being president. That the race card doesn't magically go away. That continues to be their most potent wedge issue. Gender, I would say, is a strong second place finisher. In the absence of having a fiscal platform, in the absence of having suggested anything really related to foreign policy that's not Trump is bad for our relationship with Angela Merkel or the Australian Prime Minister, in the absence of having a platform, all they can do is talk about wedge issues. But Hillary Clinton is toxic at this point. And so she made a tweet the other day, and she's like, oh, it's time to celebrate, women's rights. Women's rights are important. It's like, now that's funny. You don't criticize Bubba for his violation of multiple women's rights, allegedly. You haven't done much about Saudi Arabia, where a woman can actually get killed because she was molested or raped. You haven't talked about Qatar or some of these Arabian microstates where people are often sold as slaves for rich individuals. A cleric, an oil baron, somebody owns, somewhere in the West, they own a gas station chain or whatever. They got millions and millions of dollars. They can buy and sell people. They do this all the time. You come out and say Haiti's such a wonderful place. There are 1 in 10 people in that country is a slave. Hillary Clinton doesn't talk about the fact that most of them are women and children. She doesn't care about these sorts of things. Oh, sex slavery? Yawn, and she just goes back to sleep. But then it's real shit if Donald Trump suggests there's no wage gap. So Hillary Clinton, Hydrogen Hillary coming out, rambling about these things, it's a little bit like when she talks about the DPRK or something. And at this point, I liken this to the Democratic Party in general. The Democrats want a new Cold War, along with their, so-called Republican allies like John McCain. They want a new Cold War, that much is clear, and they've pretty much gotten it. They criticize Trump for, trying to have a somewhat normal relationship with Russia, with the Russian state, while at the same time claiming that he's going to magically start World War III and any other foreign policy theater. There's a reason I call her Hydrogen Hillary. Hillary Clinton comes out in the last presidential election prior, when she's running against Obama as a primary candidate. She gets, and according to Trump, she gets schlonged. She makes the statement that if Iran basically does anything that would be slightly abnormal, she's going to go in and bomb everything to hell. Now, it's obvious she wanted to project an image of, I can do what any man can do better. I can be more butcherous than George W. I can be more violent than a male politician. I can be more aggressive and pose with machine guns and ride a tank and all that stuff. She wanted to look tough, basically. That's basically what it boils down to. It's a little bit of propaganda and projection. But at the same time, it's blatantly warmongering. And you have to take it seriously. Usually when a politician says, well, yeah, if they cross this red line, they actually do intend, at the very least, to start a diplomatic squabble with them. Even Obama was willing to start a diplomatic squabble in Syria. Now, a year belated, he said, maybe I'll kind of strike some Assad targets. And, of course, he gets shot down by the people of the U.S. and backs off. and then retrospectively applies, oh, but I need Congress permission. Now that I know it's unpopular, Congress has to authorize these strikes because reasons. He's a total warmonger. He's also a shifty character. Hydrogen Hillary Clinton is a desperate warmonger. She doesn't care about women when they're getting blown up by drones. She doesn't care about women when they're being enslaved in a country that, that she's helping exploit, basically, with the Clinton Foundation. She doesn't care about women's rights when they're being bought and sold for domestic purposes, whether sexually related or not, or when they're getting stoned to death for being raped by their brother or something. She doesn't care about that aspect of women's rights. To her, women's rights is, I have the right to be the president of the United States. That's ultimately, to her, the biggest abuse of women's rights is she lost against Obama and then she lost against Donald Trump, and it's the worst thing ever, and Chelsea Clinton at this point, because the dynastic name Clinton is so toxic, will never be president either. That's, to her, the only abuse of women, so-called, that she cares about. That and the fact that there are some people who hold her accountable and don't like her. They simply don't like her. Not because she's a woman, not because she's shrill, she is, but that's not really it, but because she's a bad politician. Voted for the Iraq War, embezzles money, screws other countries. That's why people don't like her. She doesn't understand that. So it's hilarious when she comes out and applauds women's rights. Oh, it's wonderful. You mean those same pink hat women that you chastised a couple months ago and said, well, they should have been this active in going to the polls? Yes, I'm sure that pink-haired, pink hat-wearing, ultra third waiver rad femme with glasses that don't have lenses in them and the I'm pause about being pause tattoo, I'm sure she didn't vote for you. I'm sure there's no possibility. She didn't go to the polls. No, they did. The problem is, of course, there aren't enough people with pink hair and all of those other statuses who really do care and did the screeching thing, the wailing at the sky protest, on the anniversary of Trump being sworn in. I get to see that for my birthday, which was quite something. It's like, fucking happy birthday to me. Your country's got some lunatics in it. I'm sure that those people didn't come out to vote for you. No, I'm sure they voted for Trump. Then they became pink hat wearers. No, they're total zealots about it. Of course they voted for Hillary Clinton, but she blames them anyway. She blamed female voters. She said, oh, female voters abandoned me. Well, yeah, a lot of voters abandoned you. They abandoned you because you had bad ideas. What were your ideas, by the way? Let's see. Let's think about it. Expand Obamacare. Back then, I realized that the ACA now is a bit more popular than unpopular, oddly enough, because the Republicans fumbled 3 friggin' times in a row. And that was a glorious sight to behold, because it's like, come on, Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan don't know what they're doing. These are the never-Trumpers, by the way. That was the funny part. They fumbled the ACA, but back then it was like, 35-40% of the public actually liked the ACA, and she's running on wanting to make it worse. She's running on, well, we're going to tweak it this way and tweak it that way. And, Sanders, by the way, he's offering people things he can't give, but somehow I'm offering you things that I can give. By the way, I'm female, haha. That's the reason to vote for her. Expand the ACA, might bomb Iran, I have a vagina. What a wonderful platform. Oh yeah, and women's rights are near and dear to me unless they say that Bill Clinton did something wrong. Or Anthony Weiner, or, anyone on my staff. Like that religious counselor there who also was apparently harassing at least one woman, I guess lewd phone calls or something, and she didn't fire him, she moved the lower staffer to a different position. That was back when she was running against Obama. That wasn't even recently. So that makes it even more funny, arguably speaking. Really, Hillary Clinton is a washed-up fool. She represents 90s era politics the same way like the cable news networks that are dying too. They represent 90s era news. Well, yeah, it was fun at the time. Yeah, okay, you get to watch this combat live on CNN. Well, now you can watch it on YouTube. There are streams for these sorts of things. Oh, wait, YouTube doesn't let you do that. You see, that was really the first step of censorship. Oh, combat footage, you can't stream that anymore. There's a reason. They wanted it streamed on the actual bundles people have to pay for with their corporate network allies. Ah, see, that's the reason why. And they don't care about you showing blood and guts, but they only want it shown by CNN. That's all, so that they can be the ones that are commenting on it. And if you republish any of that, you can actually get a strike for that, which is the most hilarious thing of all. It's acceptable, but only from certain channels. It's like Stalinism a little bit, to tell the truth. That's about all.